Hi everyone. So I have my review and demo of the NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia for you today. For reference, my skin coloring in MAC terms is around NC5 to NC10. My neck is lighter, more on the NC5. My face is a little darker, more on the NC10. So far this has been the best match for me. It is quite yellow and I have more yellow undertones than not. And I have a fair amount of pink in my skin, so it just works better for me to have a more yellow-based foundation. It doesn't come with a pump. You can buy a pump. My understanding is that possibly they prefer, for you to experience it without a pump. I'm not really sure, just because it really does need to be shaken well. I don't know. That could just be something somebody made up on the internet. So I'm just putting some on my hand. The way I prefer to apply it is with the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge. And so I just kind of get some on here. It's looking a little worse for the wear here. Oh, I probably need to bring my mirror over a little closer. I'm doing this in the morning before Colin gets up, so it might be a little out of sorts. So the coverage that I go for is, light to medium. I do want to take down the redness in my skin, cover some very minor spots, but nothing crazy. I probably should have taken a before picture. Maybe I'll do half my face. Yeah, out of sorts. So I have a lot of little red spots on my nose that I'm too lazy to conceal, so if I can get the foundation to just kind of take those down a little bit, it's nice. And also along the lazy lines, you saw I put that under my eyes just because then I don't really have a ton of darkness under there, so it brightens it up a little bit and it doesn't crease or look too dry and cakey on me, so which is a common problem for me. I have a little blemish right there, right by my brows. So I've been wearing it under my eyes and been liking that. When I don't feel like doing concealer, I might need to get a little bit more. I'd rather pour out a little too little than too much, So it goes on really easily with this sponge, as most things do for me. Well, not most things. For things that are going to work for me, the sponge is always the easiest, nicest finish. The only reason I don't like to use it is because I don't like having to wash it all the time. Lazy. I am lazy. So a little bit more. And I have applied it with my fingers. If I really kind of very meticulously tap it in, I can do it, but it takes a long time. So it's kind of like, in the time that it takes to press it in very nicely with my fingers, I could have washed this sponge and be done. So sometimes I have to remind myself of that fact. So this is supposed to be, I think, kind of a moisturizing formula, if I recall the marketing info. It's certainly not a new formula by any means, and I kind of wonder if it's going to go away since Sheer Matte, went away and was replaced by the NARS Luminous. Yeah. I don't feel it has a super luminous finish right now. It looks a little bit more luminous because I applied it with a damp sponge. When I apply it just with my fingers, not so much. And I didn't put any primer on. The only thing I have on my skin is my SPF moisturizer. My cheeks are dry. My T-zone is moderately oily, I would say. It used to be much oilier, but now it's just kind of middle of the road. Oily, but not too bad. But I will say that the oil that I do have breaks makeup down extremely quickly. I have not found any sort of foundation that lasts in my T-zone more than like 4 to 5 hours. Unless it's in the winter and there's some fluke combination of products. So I think that's it for applying the foundation. Like I said, it does what I was comparing this to mainly was the L'Oreal True Match in W1 Porcelain. And that one gets very dewy on me after maybe 2 hours. This gets dewy, but not super dewy. That other one is just shiny, whereas this one will just kind of get more luminous in my more oily areas. It will always look a little dry through my cheeks, but I've never found anything that doesn't look a little dry through my cheeks unless it's something like MAC Face and Body. That's the only thing that doesn't look dry on my cheeks. So that's a very, very dewy, kind of wet formula. But the dry look, it's only if you get really close. So it's really not that extreme. Sometimes I wear it by itself. Sometimes I set it. I use this Benefit Powderflage to set everything. I don't love this under my eyes, so that's why I've been just trying to use it up on the rest of my face. And because it's fairly, what I would consider a little drying, I feel like it does a fairly good job at setting everywhere else. I can't say I've really done a very scientific test of lasting power of this when I set it versus not set it. I think maybe I get a little extra, but I really don't know. I do it because I feel like it must do something. Which is so ridiculous, right? It's very non-scientific of me. But it does make it slightly more matte without it being like super, super matte looking. And I'll just put a little under my eyes too. So as far as lasting power, this can go, for me, I would say it leaves my nose the first. That's the first place every makeup product vanishes from, just because the oil on my nose is just, it's serious business. It just breaks down makeup like crazy. So I would say that my nose seems almost bare after about 5 hours or so. If it's especially oily, maybe it's 4 hours, you know. It really just varies. And then on my chin and my forehead, which are also oily areas, I would say I still have a little bit of product left at the end of the day, but it's not like freshly done. And on my cheeks, it will last all day just because they are drier and they hold on to product really well. I do, if I'm paying attention, I will blot during the day and it will look pretty good. It doesn't get too like cakey, funky, settling into the pores type thing. It does wear away pretty nicely, so it's not, it doesn't get to a point during the day where it looked good when I first put it on, but as it's breaking down, it's starting to look kind of gross. So that's nice. I feel like it's very easy to wear. I don't mind putting it on first thing in the morning, knowing that if I'm doing anything in the afternoon, I'm going to need to put something else on my face and it's not going to get all cakey and chunky and funky looking. Or if I do nothing, it's just going to look like I don't have as much coverage on, which is not a big deal because as you can see, I don't wear a ton of coverage to begin with. I can go without any sort of base and it's not the end of the world. My cheeks and my nose just flush a lot, so I do like to have something on top of them just so that they're not, it's covering a little bit of that flushing because it's just randomly throughout the day, you know, like if I go to the bathroom and wash my hands, my nose will get red. I don't know what that's all about, but that's what it does. So I'm just going to put a little blush on real quick, just to balance things out a little bit because I'm looking a little ghostly, more ghostly than usual. So can you see how nice this color matches? It's pretty exciting. So I'm wearing, since I've got a very warm situation going on my face, I'm just going to wear Milani Luminoso. And I like using the MAC 188 for this just because I tend to be a little heavy-handed with blush. And so when you're very fair, I would say it's a little easier to go overboard. So yeah, I need to protect myself from myself with a more pigmented blush. That's it, I think. Overall, I really highly recommend this foundation if you're looking for something that isn't that kind of nude type of formula, like the Dior Nude Air Serum, the Luminous, the NARS All Day Luminous. Those formulas for me do not work well. They tend to settle into my pores. They tend to look pretty dry. At some points they can look really nice. I don't like that the Dior has a fragrance, and the NARS, the color was good, but it was just not sitting on my face very well. So if you're looking for something that maybe is a little bit easier on your skin, if you have problems with settling into your pores, I would definitely recommend this. It's compared to the L'Oreal True Match in W1, which is the lightest foundation I have found at the drugstore. This is more yellow, like strictly yellow, whereas the True Match might look a little bit lighter when you first apply it, but it does oxidize to a more peach tone. And I do have a video of a review and a demo of that as well, and also swatches that compare the two, so you can see the more yellow versus the little bit more peachy tone of the True Match. Just because I get a lot better lasting power and less like really shine out of the NARS, this is what I prefer to wear. So while I do have the flexibility, being a stay-at-home mom, to kind of redo my makeup, like say during his nap time, so having a foundation like the True Match, about 4 hours total, isn't the end of the world, and I do really like it, especially for the price. I do prefer the NARS just because I like the more strictly yellow color of it. It doesn't oxidize. This is what you see is what you get. Once it's on my face, it doesn't change, and I really appreciate that. And it's such a light color, and it lasts a little bit better, and it doesn't get quite as shiny dewy. This is just what I've been wearing when I'm wearing foundation these days. Highly recommend it. If you're around NC5, NC10, I think it would be a really good match for you. If you really do need those kind of overtly yellow tones, then this is a really good one for you. I think this is, so far, this is the best foundation I've found, and honestly, I don't even want to keep trying, because just finding one that's light enough is so hard if you have that kind of skin coloring, that I don't know why I didn't try this earlier, to be quite honest. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you so much for watching, as always. And if you aren't already and would like to be, then please do subscribe. And I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.